Hello and welcome back to High Value Hustling. I'm your host, James, and today we have the privilege of speaking with Aidan Plaisance from Canton, Ohio. We all know Aidan because he's been on the first 5 episodes of this podcast. We are recently coming back from a 2-year break with a lot of updates for you. So we're excited to jump back in, and I'm going to hand it off to Aidan just to kind of give you an update. How the last 2 years been? Where are you at now? Why are we in different places? Can you give us an update?
Yeah, so the last 2 years have actually been crazy. Like, looking back, when I was 21, I never would have thought that I'd be sitting here doing this in Canton, Ohio. I didn't know what I was going to do, and I didn't know where I was going to be, but I knew that I needed something different to do. And, I'm still working at Chick-fil-A, so that hasn't changed very much, but I am actually located at a new Chick-fil-A over in Canton with a newer operator who knew my old operator. And so while I was, 21 and trying to figure out life and where I should go, somebody, while I was opening a store, was like, you know what? You've been doing Chick-fil-A for like almost 8 years. Why don't you use that experience and take that elsewhere? And I was like, well, at that time I was starting to do a real estate program and I was trying to get my real estate license. And that led me to being like, well, maybe I should pause this because that's a long-term commitment and I have to update that. So I asked my operator that I was working with up in Toledo, and I was like, do you know someone who needs help? And he's like, do I know somebody who needs help? It's my old neighbor that I suckered into getting a store too. Anywho, so have a play date at the store, which means you work there for free for like 1 or 2 days. And it's just, does the team like you? Do you like the environment? Hit it off. It was great. Since then, I have transitioned to the director in the kitchen. I actually was voted no by 2 out of 13 people, and one of those 2 people is actually my girlfriend. So she was a director at that time before her school took over a large portion of her week, and she said that I was annoying and that I shouldn't be there, and so she voted no. But I'm still there, and started school now. I'm going for business management through
awesome.
Point University, so it's free. This semester, I'm running 18 credit hours while working 50 hours a week.
That's a
And
lot.
it's a little bit of a grind. It
Yeah.
is. So
Wow.
hopefully I didn't bite off more than I could chew. But yeah, fitness for me has really taken a back seat now that education has really slid in. So I've been focusing on just maintaining myself with a proper diet, besides like the occasional, like really sugary popcorn, for example. Oh my gosh, I love that. And I've been experimenting with like cooking meats in regards, but I don't have a stove. I don't have a grill. I have a crock pot, I have an oven, and I got a stovetop and an air fryer. And I've just been making all kinds of stuff, man. It's so
Dude,
good.
yeah.
Loving it. Yeah, besides that, I also got really deep into investing in the last 8 months. I'm up 24% on my own individual investments. And then I also have been attending a church over here called the Chapel in Green, which is a really cool non-denominational church that my girlfriend's family goes to. So I've been learning a lot about God while I was there. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. And that's a lot of time to cover in a short amount of time. And I'm definitely sure we'll talk about more of that in the future. But
Yeah, we will.
James, why don't you share a little about yourself, man? Where have you been the last 2 years, bro?
Yeah. Good. Thanks for sharing about that. There's so much more to unpack for both of us. We're just giving you a snapshot of what it's been like. Remind us, Aidan, of how old you are now.
Oh yeah, so I'm 23 right now, turning 24 this summer. Yeah, I remember when I was like 19 and I thought I was going to own a store by the time I was 23. And now I'm like 23 running the kitchen, going to school. And I'm like, man, never thought I'd be doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, God really just redirects your life to what's best for us. So, yeah, that's good. The last 2 years have been a wild ride. It's been very, very rewarding. I was 19 when we were starting this podcast. I'm 21 now, and I'm in my last semester at the University of Toledo. So go Rockets! I've enjoyed it a lot more. I've really gotten involved in a healthy way of just plugging myself into organizations like Crew. I did a ballroom dance competition, a club that I was able to learn a lot from.
Oh, you
But
were
just
first in that, right?
yeah, I just kind of joined it on a whim, and the dance partner and I just we worked really well together, and we ended up winning a small competition. But yeah, so I've just been really plugged into school, just like putting my best foot forward. I'm a business management degree just like yourself. I'm just like school just takes precedent and everything. I've left Chick-fil-A. I dedicated 5.5 years to that amazing place, and I left on very good terms. So in my last semester now, in these last about 3 weeks or so, I've been involved in an internship. I won't mention the place, but I will say it's under financial advising. I'm not exactly sure if this is what I want to do the rest of my life, but it's giving me a perspective of, hey, is this something I might want to help people with in the future? Or is this just something that I can just learn for now? So it's a lot of questions and digging and saying, hey, how can I be plugged in? How can I understand where I'm going next? So it's been very rewarding. As far as fitness and faith goes, faith has been really going really well. I actually have a Passion shirt on. Went to this thing called the Passion Conference, and it was in Atlanta, Georgia. So it was just a bunch of believers getting together, just worshiping God and understanding how they can be more of a light in their communities. And then as well as, I attend a church here in Ohio, in my hometown, that I really love. And finally, fitness, I've been just maintaining my weight. I'm probably around 205. So I think I was
you are a big boy, bro. You could like Hulk lift somebody right now.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the weight. I'm doing some cardio too. I'm preparing for the 10-mile Tough Mudder here in June or July, one of those.
Wait, you're going for a 10-mile Tough Mudder?
Yeah, I've signed up day after the last Tough Mudder.
With
nobody. I sent the link to like Justin and everyone. I was like, hey, if you guys want to join me.
What? You didn't hit me up on that, man? For real?
You were in that chat.
I don't remember it. I thought that was a joke. I thought you were joking.
No, I signed up the day after. I'm like, I'm doing the 10-mile and I'm not going to be last in the group. So I've always been a bodybuilder preferred lifter. But now that I'm like a little bit older, I'm like, cardio matters a bunch just with functionality of daily life. Like, I don't want to be super strong if I can't jog and not be out of breath. Like, I want to be able to be fit, functional fit, right? So anyways,
there's 80-year-olds that run marathons that are more fit than, have you ever seen an 80-year-old lift 405 pounds on a bench?
No,
doesn't happen.
Yeah, so
I might have to join you on that.
Nick Barr, he's like this guy. He's like 215 pounds. Maybe he fluctuates between 185 and like 215. He lifts and he runs marathons, and he's like quick marathons. So he was in the Boston Marathon. So that tells you something. Anyways, all that to say, we've enjoyed these last couple of years, and we were just talking. We're like, hey, like, we love this podcast. We love to just talk about what we've learned, where we're going. How can we give some lessons, or how can we understand a lesson that we've learned this week or today, and just share that so that everyone can benefit from it. Or even if you just like to listen to our life updates, great. So what we would like to transition to is give you our top thing that we've learned over the last 2 years that's really impacted us, that we've learned the most, we've seen a new perspective on, about ourselves, about others, whatever it is. So Aiden, if you could start us off with what is that one thing for you in these last 2 years that has been the most life-changing?
Yeah, and I would say for me, the thing that has really stuck out in the last 2 years was, and this is more of a recent development, but I've seen it grow in myself in the last 2 years. And I used to think that being a great leader was about being the person that could accomplish the most, the person who was the greatest, the person who knew the most, the person who no one could outperform. But I've recently turned that corner into a different perspective where it's no longer about what I can do. And it's not because I can't do it, but it's because I have an incredible team who works with me at my store. And that incredible team, if I did everything, they would never be able to go and accomplish anything. But then even if I did not teach them a similar idea or solution that I had, when I went to go do that thing, then that person wouldn't be guided. So I found myself not necessarily being a doer, but more of being like a visionary, an influencer, a coach, a friend, as opposed to like a coworker or a boss or a person who is of management in a business. And the nice part about that is I haven't really, there has been several times where someone will present or produce something that I have never thought of. That's just an incredible idea.
Yeah.
I will say that most of the in-house problems that I have had, or the people conflict problems that I have also had, have been more responded by myself and led by myself, but it's not me who executes them. So it's been very interesting to see, okay, all right, everyone's kind of like, okay, but this is our problem. Let's see what Aiden thinks, right? Or if I notice a problem, I'll be like, what does everybody else think? And it's just really open communication and great meeting structure. And the great thing about that is that we all have a common vision of what we want to achieve and how we want to do it. Now, it's just a difference in what we do, not necessarily the vision or the how. So that has been probably the greatest thing I've learned, and it actually has helped me. And I've realized this more, not in solution management for processes or systems or overcoming business obstacles. It has actually been more in regards to like a psychological perspective of like being able to influence people that you don't have a lot of common factors with, or people that, like, I'm one of the newest people at my store.
Yeah.
So it's interesting for other people to gravitate towards me because I haven't been there the longest, but I was set up very well in regards to like my operator being like, hey, this guy knows a lot about Chick-fil-A. He's opened 10 stores. He's been able to work at 5. So he has been in a lot of places and has a lot of information. So everybody went like, and they were like, yo, they're like, so you think you know everything, huh, man? And I was like, I don't think I know everything, but if I don't, I know who does. And then that has really helped me. That was the beginning of the end, in my opinion, of being able to influence everybody, because they all wanted to know, man. And it was just incredible being surrounded by people that want to do better and want to do well. And then even from outside of that, being able to protect that culture of leadership and protect that culture of high capacity. There's been some hard conversations and there's been some immediate terminations. And in that journey, it has helped me become the best person I can be. But it's not, again, going back to the original point, it's not about me being the best person I can be because I need to go push the business. It's me being the best person I can be to help make sure that I'm influencing and leading and casting a vision and supporting those who are on my team to be able to accomplish what we want to accomplish. And man, I sleep great at night knowing that everybody else takes care of it. And if we ever have an issue, we talk about it and figures it out. And it is just a world of peace and blessing, because there are great people that I have, and I would not be in this position if I did not change my perspective on how to accomplish said things. So yeah, I mean, that's a little bit about me. I know it's like a little bit like, that was like a 720 almost. We went around the circle twice.
Can I ask you something about that?
So
if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying is leadership is less about how much you know and more about how to equip others to do what you can do. Is that
100%? Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and then even on like a factor of what you're talking about, that too, something that I struggled with when I was younger was that I wanted to make more versions of Aiden. And
come on. It's good.
In a very similar situation, like you were just saying, it's like, okay, I can better equip this person, but I was like, oh, I'm going to make James, I'm going to teach him like an Aiden would want. I'm going to motivate him like an Aiden would want. I'm going to challenge him like an Aiden would want. But I've realized before I even moved out here that there are Aidens. No one's like Aiden. Everyone's different.
Right.
But it's like, how can I set up James to be the most successful James? How can I set up a Mary Beth to be the best Mary Beth? And it just goes down. And so, yeah, just what you're saying, but setting up those people with my knowledge, tools, and experience to then make them the best versions they are. But then it's crazy because every one of them learns different. But one common thing, too, that also exists among all those people is that they all have to teach themselves. I can't teach them.
So it sounds like the idea of leadership sounds very, very, sounds very fun, because you kind of, it appears like you're the person in control, but really what leadership's all about is how can you humbly allow people to learn and grow in the way that they do best instead of the way that you would. Does that
Yeah,
sound right?
it's kind of like servant leadership with
Mm.
Jesus. Like he washed the servants' feet.
Yeah,
He
come on.
said that those who want to be first will be last, and those who
Mm.
want to be last will be first. And in that regard, I like to imagine that I lead like that, and I want
Mm.
to lead like that because,
Yeah,
in my opinion, that's the greatest person to learn from. He
yeah.
led with grace and truth. He
Mm.
was extremely right,
Yeah.
but he was also extremely gracious.
Mm.
And I mean, I could run the whole ship if I wanted, and I don't need nobody, but then that wouldn't set them up for success. That wouldn't help the business grow, and then I would be robbing them of their opportunity that they have. And so, yeah, I mean, in a short and sweet way, it is allowing for others to be the best version of themselves by setting them up for success and then letting them do it.
Wow. That sounds incredible. I mean, to know this at 23, sound like I'm 35, being like, yeah, I wish I knew. I don't. But I'm just saying, like, so few like men under 25 actually have the opportunity to lead like you do every day, but let alone like not just have that opportunity, but can learn this. And I've been able to hear all these stories about Aiden in the kitchen and up front. And, they do millions of dollars every year, and just understanding how to manage people with all this is just incredible. I mean, I worked for a great store. I worked with Aiden, and then once he left, I heard all these stories about what leadership is like with, people from 16 to 35, married, unmarried. It's just like you're working with a lot of different culture shifts, perspectives, unique personalities, and to be able to like learn like what leadership truly is amazing. So thank you for
Eh,
sharing. That's
Oh,
good.
my pleasure. Yeah, it has been a long journey and it won't be anytime short. And like you said, like as a 23-year-old, not everyone has that opportunity. So sometimes it's hard because it's like
Mm.
I had this incredible opportunity to reinvent myself at
Yeah,
this location. And then it's hard because no one knew 14-year-old Aiden. No
that's
one knew the
right.
Aiden that you worked with, right?
That's right.
And it's hard because there's some times where you just don't want to do it.
Mm.
And those days are few and far in between for myself. They're usually in the tail end of a 14-hour day for a 65-hour week. And I'm like, you know what? I'm good. But I know that every person is watching me and
Mm.
knowing and taking note of what I say, act, and do. And if it is not consistent,
Mm.
then I am ruining my influence as a leader.
Wow. Sounds like this is setting you up for fatherhood pretty well. I have a couple buddies that are my age, 21, and they have little kids on the way. I'm like, man, like I respect you. I don't envy you. Like I don't want to be you right now, but I respect like everything that you're learning. It's crazy.
You
Wow,
move fast, man. Well, what about you, James? What about the
that's
last
good.
2 years for you?
Yeah, yeah, good. Yeah. So I'm 21. I'm gonna graduate here with a business management degree here soon, and
Congratulations, by the way.
yeah, very pumped
Long
about
journey.
that. Be out of school here soon. Yeah, the last 2 years have, especially in the last 6 months, especially like right now today. But it's the way God moves from what I've seen is like it's a constant preparation for the next thing. It's a constant like it's a constant like every experience is preparing you to learn to understand what to do for the next thing. And I say that because in the last 2 years, what's been like the biggest thing I've learned is faith cannot exist in anything unless there is an unknown. And I say that because I am someone that loves to plan out how things should go in the week, in the next couple of years. I'm very much like a 1 year, like a 6 month, 1 year, 5 year, 10 year kind of planner. And like very few people like plan that far out and like have like I like ideas of like where they want to be at that, like more than just a dream, like kind of a structured plan. And it's been very humbling to know that how can I say I believe in something that I can't see if I know what's going to happen all the time? Like you can't. 4 short months here when I graduate with my degree, I would love if I could say, yeah, I'm going to do this specifically and I'm going to be set for life. I'm going to be married, but I'm just not. I have no idea. And so it's been this, this balance of, okay, I'm believing that I'm going to be okay and I'll be okay. It's like I'm trusting in something that I don't see yet, and this is building the faith. But then if I always know what's going on, then I don't need faith, right? So yeah, I've been humbled to know that like faith is necessary, like unknowns is necessary in order to have faith. And so yeah,
Well,
that's been
even with that, some people think, well, okay, common question. What is the strongest human emotion? What do you think, James?
the strongest human emotion.
Strongest human emotion. What do you think?
But either I'm probably gonna be wrong, but I feel like it's gonna be
Take a
either
guess.
fear or love.
And so it actually is hope. It actually is
Perfect.
hope. Which that's an interesting thing. It's not really an emotion, right? It's like an ideology, right? It's a perspective.
Yeah.
But so let's look at the example of Star Wars. Literally an episode called A New Hope, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't remember what episode it is. You know, they're all messed up. But it is a band of rebels going against an intergalactic army and still having hope that there will be a better world.
Yeah.
And they eventually get what they need, and it turns around and it works out. But the reason why all of them pushed was not because of love, was not because of anxiety, because of fear, because of stress, because of confidence, because of knowing. It was because of hope that what was on the other side of that was better than what was right in front of them. And what you're saying, like, from what I'm hearing, what you're saying about a religious perspective, if you knew every answer, if you were extremely confident, if there was never a moment of doubt in your mind, you wouldn't have hope, you wouldn't have faith. And in my opinion, the definition of both of those is overcoming an obstacle of unknown. So it's kind of like if you were to buy something that was $20, you're like, I have faith this $20 buck will get this for me. Did you actually have faith, or did you just know?
No, you just knew. It's
You
not
just
faith.
knew. You just knew that you could just get that. But if you show up to a place and you don't know the price on something, you're like, I hope this $20 thing can get this for me. And they give you back $10, you're like,
Right.
like that is more powerful of an emotion than anything. And it is because there is a gap, and that your body, your soul is betting on it to be able to succeed and sustain yourself.
Yeah.
So is that kind of where you're going with that?
That's great. Yeah. Yeah. It's really been a solidification and a strengthening of what faith truly is, like what it means. I always had the idea of like, what is this? Like, I'm believing in something, yeah, but like I'm gonna be okay. But it's really is like there's unknowns, and that's okay. And you know, it's very common for people my age, 21-year-olds, you know, pretty much anything after 16, or even, I mean, now with social media, it's younger. People are just getting
They're
scared, I
growing
guess,
up too quick.
about their future. Yeah, they are. They really are. What is it? It's like, quick side tangent. It's like people now, or children now with social media, they have an understanding of adult problems without being at the adult age. Or there's a better way of saying that. But they have an understanding of what adult problems are without being at that adult age. So they feel the pressure of something that they are not yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I get what you're saying. Like, there's been situations where, like, so I've worked with a lot of like single parents or whatever, people who have adopted kids, whatever it might be. In a lot of those situations, you will see children mimicking or mocking their parents' behavior.
Yeah.
So, for example, there's a summer camp that I go to, and at that summer camp, kids, like, there's always, like, they don't actually, there's no romantic thing, but they're like, will you be my, like, weekend camp person, girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever? They are 8 years old.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they are mimicking their parents in their relationship. They're like, I'm just going to yell at you because that's what my parent does. Or I'm going to do this because this is what my mom does when I get scared. Or I'm going to do this because this is what my mom always does, or my dad always does, or this is what my uncle does. And they mimic the behavior that they see because they are so in tune with their parents, and their parents are setting that example subconsciously, that they don't actually know that that's how they're preparing their child for life. So, and like in that example too, that you're talking about technology, in my opinion, today, not a lot of people have great relationships with their parents.
Yeah.
So where's the next place you're going to go to? It's going to be the most readily available resource, which your parents is just a byproduct of you existing.
Right.
Whether they're in your life or not, they are a thing that does take mental energy and sets up an unconscious expectation for yourself. After that, it is definitely social media. And in my opinion, both of those can be healthy or unhealthy. But what do they say? Anything that is too much of a good thing is a bad thing, right?
Yeah. Wow. That's good. Thank you for sharing the last 2 years update and where we've been, where we're going. I really appreciate you giving us the biggest thing you've learned about leadership and just understanding that better and more. And I don't believe we said this yet, so we would just like to give you guys an idea of, hey, what's this going to look like moving forward? So, we both enjoy this a lot, and our expectation moving forward is we would like to do a 1 podcast minimum a month. So ideally it'd be more than that, but you'll be hearing from Aiden and I at least 1 time a month. We'll be having some more guests on to just talk about, hey, what are they learning? What's life like? What lessons can we pick up on and understand better? So any last morsels you'd like to leave us with, Aiden?
Last morsels, I'm actually heavily considering about doing that 10-mile Tough Mudder with you.
Dude, yeah. I'd
That'd
love
be
it,
a lot
man.
of fun.
I would love it.
And then, other than that, no, I think we talked about a bunch of great things. There's always more to go around, and it really is just about perspectives and how you want to learn. Like I'm super excited to do this podcast and get this back up and running. And even in the beginning, like I know we both have the same heart, the same mission. And then there's this one podcast I've been listening to, the Jocko Willink podcast, and I've learned a lot from him on, he talks about leadership material stuff or business stuff, but the thing that I really enjoyed was actually learning how he set himself up for success in the podcast world and how he presents himself and what his things are. So now I kind of feel like I have a little bit of a greater understanding, but I will say that I have really also learned that the reason why a great podcast like that has gone on for so long, because he's almost at, I think he's going close to 500 episodes over the last 8 years, and it's because of the amount of perspectives that he is gathering. And they all have similar stories, but they all have a different perspective because every person is different. And that's why God made humans the way he did,
Wow. That's good. Cool. We look forward to hearing more from you, Aiden, and some other guests. As always, we would love to hear what the listener thinks. So if you have anything that you like that really stood out to you, or a podcast idea that you'd like us to speak on, email us at highvaluehustling@gmail.com, and we'll check them out, and we can get back to you on if we'll choose that idea for a podcast. So thanks so much. You guys have a great day.